Hey, it's Big Game James McCarty, the sports director at Flag Family Media, and we're here now with the MSUM Dragon football head coach, Steve Laqua. Coach, fall camp is here. Your season opener's a week away. How are you feeling as the head coach heading into this season?
Well, excited. Always excited to have a new season come up. New faces out there, new guys and new roles, and seeing how they jump into kind of leadership roles, maybe more playing time, maybe some guys less playing time, and really trying to bring the chemistry of the team together. So it's always an exciting time of year.
And I had read an article a couple days ago. I thought it was interesting. It said that you guys were young, but you're experienced at the same time. Can you talk a little bit to that with having a lot of those sophomores and even juniors and some redshirt freshmen that are going to make some impacts this year?
Absolutely. Maybe you start with quarterback position. Jack Strand was a true freshman last year, but ended up being an all-conference player by the end of the year. You have Gage Florence, a redshirt freshman, 100 catches last year, young guy, newcomer of the year, and on the offensive side of the ball in our conference. You look at even Josiah Bam, who's a captain for us. Going into now a two-time captain, I believe, but he was an all-conference player, but he's only going to be a junior. So we have a lot of young guys that have played a lot of football, and so I think that's kind of exciting that, we are a young group, we are starting to mature, but yet we maybe don't have all the growing pains. We do have them in some positions, but there's a lot of guys that are pretty chiseled veterans for being so young.
And to piggyback off that a little bit, over the last two seasons for you guys, if I remember correctly, I believe it was 4, if not 5 games in 2021 where you guys lost by 6 or less points. Last season finishing 4-7, it was a very similar narrative. But this team, like you said, has more experience this year. What has happened over this offseason and the transformation of the guys on the roster that are going to be between the lines each and every Saturday that's going to be able to help turn that tide into a more successful season?
Well, some experience, right, helps you win the games on the line when things get a little bit tighter. I think we've tried to spend a lot of time situational football. Third downs, win and lose games, red zones, win and lose games. Where maybe when you're younger and you're just trying to cut your teeth into it, you spend more time on maybe the bigger chunks of the game. Hey, 1st and 10, 2nd and 7. Those normal down and distance plays. Well, those are good, and you have to do those first. But you got to win in the margins, and the margins are those special football situations. And so we've been trying to teach those a lot.
We did the math on it. We came to the conclusion. You started in 2011. You're entering season 13 here at the helm for the Dragons. What would you say, in your eyes, and putting you on the spot a little bit, but what would you say is the biggest difference from 2011 when you started out to now being that grizzled vet? I know you were a 2018 NSIC Coach of the Year, and I mean, you've been here over a decade. You've clearly done something right.
Well, there's probably more gray hair now than there was in 2011. But you look and you think back, if you really try and rewind it and you go, okay, what's different? Like Scheels Field, the turf is different. The lights are different. You look at the win-loss situation's different. Our team GPA is astronomically higher than what it was, and so you start looking at the amount of guys on the football team, the amount of student assistants that are helping and work study people, and that part. And you see the growth of it. The scholarships from 9.5 up to pushing towards 28 scholarships, and so I think there's been a huge increase in so many different areas. Sometimes you get lost in just one year at a time, but then when you do rewind it back those 13 years, you do realize it's been quite a journey, and we've continued to move forward, and we've got to continue to move forward again this year.
You'd mentioned already in this conversation, you have Jack Strand, who's going to be that sophomore quarterback now. Gage Florence, who will be a sophomore wide receiver. Carter Bierenkout will be a sophomore tight end. You have so much talent, so much depth. Ryan Bieberdorf will be a senior. And now that I rattled all those guys off, I want to go to the running game. It seemed as though at times last season, I don't know if it was a scheme thing on the offensive line, if it was a depth thing in the running back room. What happened in the offseason to hopefully be able to help balance out that running game along with that crazy pass attack you guys had?
Yeah, I think, last year we found ourselves in a situation where we probably were overmatched in the box with our offensive line, super young. We had guys that three starters that were true freshmen, at different times. And so the group as a whole, as an offensive line, was really young. And so we had to find ways to move the football, and I think with that it became, hey, we're beating our head against the wall trying to run it. We're going to have to figure out how can we pass it. And sometimes it was short passes, try and use as a run game and whatnot. And so I think this year, as those guys have gotten older, we had a couple guys that we felt like didn't play last year that have really grown into some spots. And so I do think that's an area that's made significant increases and allow us to now be a little bit more balanced. But at the end of the day, we got to find plays that work, whatever that is, traditional, not traditional, whatever it is, find plays that work, run them as many times as we can, and do the best that we can to make sure that we're gaining yards and scoring points.
Heading into this season, what would you say from a coaching standpoint is the one, the ultimate goal, and then two, maybe what is kind of the team goal and the personal goals you have for the season?
Yeah, I think for us, it's always growing together and playing together as a team. You know what, you look and go, it's not really about the opponents you're playing. It's a challenge each week of how do you get the best out of yourself? How do you get the best out of your teammates? How do we overcome injuries, adversity? Because that's going to happen in game. It's going to happen from week to week. And so it's really about us of taking those lessons that we're going to go through in the next, 11 weeks of football. But really, that's life. Life's overcoming adversity. It's overcoming tragedy. It's overcoming a dip, whatever it might be, and being able, how do you bounce back? How do you do it together? How do you get the best out of the people around you? And so that's really, at the end of the day, if we can do those things, I feel really good about how they're going to be going out into life, but I feel really good about how our season's going to turn out from a wins and loss standpoint.
Next week, Wayne State, first game of the season. You guys are on the road. As a head coach at this point, how are you feeling when it comes to just the emotion standpoint? Are there still nerves at this point? Is it just excitement? Is it that little bit of on edge, trying to see what guys can help replace guys that are left from last offseason? Where are you standing at that point a week away from the opener?
Well, always excitement, right? We work a lot of hours at this job for 11 guaranteed Saturdays or 10 guaranteed Saturdays and one Thursday to be able to play in those games. And so we're excited for that time. That's where the work kind of shows for us, for the players. I still get the butterflies. I'm 44 years old and still have those before the game. And I always say if I get to a point where I don't have the butterflies and I'm probably not in the right profession, I probably need to move on, because no matter how many seasons I get, I always try and remember these guys only get 4 guaranteed seasons. And for some of them, they're going into their last season. And so we want to make it the best for them every time that we can.
Definitely. Well, hey, Steve, I want to thank you for a couple minutes of your time today. We appreciate it, and good luck to the team, not only this next Thursday against Wayne State, but the entire 2023 season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Big Game James McCarty, the sports director at Flag Family Media. Have a great rest of your day.